Hello, Sun's Latest family. I am Rich Rubin. This is Sun's Latest. We have more than I thought we were going to have to cover today, so let's get right to it. Quote of the day, and this was sent by a loyal Sun's Latest viewer, Hammer Don PHX. So thank you for making me have to do less work. Quote of the day: Faith is believing what you know ain't so. Mark Twain. I don't really like that quote. I didn't really read it. I said, "Oh, cool! You sent me a quote." Faith is believing what you know isn't so. So that's just that's blind faith, or that's just knowing something is BS, and you're like, "I'm going to believe it anyway." I'm going to have to dig deeper in my own brain for that one because as of right now, I don't believe it. But hey, if it works for you, all right, let's move on. We have some news today. Please keep a good thought for former NBA player Jason Collins, current ambassador for the league. He is undergoing treatment for a brain tumor. He retired in 2014 after 13 years in the league. Journeyman, but mostly known for playing with the Nets. I'm pretty sure he played with the Wizards and a little bit for the Celtics too. You can send a positive message to him and his family at Jason Collins98 on his Insta if you like. Twin brother Jaron played for the Suns in '09. So good thoughts for Jason Collins, please. Oh, one of the good guys. Suns Media Day is September 23rd. Training camp starts the next day, September 24th. Less than 2 weeks away, earlier than normal October 1st start for most teams. The Suns are playing the Brooklyn Nets October 10th and 12th in China, the preseason. It's part of the NBA China games. Let's get those young legs moving, huh? Suns preseason officially starts Friday, October 3rd, here in California, in Palm Desert. It's near Palm Springs. That's against the Lakers. And the Suns' regular season kicks off Wednesday, October 22nd, in Phoenix against the Sacramento Kings. And we should win that game, and we're going to. How about that? All right, we need to talk about Ryan Dunn. I've been focused on point guards and probably a little bit overkill. We're gonna do a deep dive on Jordan Goodwin on the next one because between him, Gillespie, and Butler, those are our point guards. And I know we're gonna use Jalen Green as the main facilitator to start the season. And if it doesn't work that way, you're gonna see less of him as a starter or less of him just doing that gig and less minutes. And one of those three is going to be the targeted point guard. But we do need to talk about Ryan Dunn, who I was high on last year. I always thought Ryan Dunn might be a Mikal Bridges type of player, and I'm not comparing. It's just just taller, bigger, more of a power forward style player, and an incredible defensive player. But he needs to work on a few things. He is primed for a breakout season. He looked like a different guy in summer league, but that is summer league. I have a feeling he's going to start improving by leaps and bounds, mostly because Beal and KD are gone, and there's a lot of room for who's gonna make the jump to the next level. And I think Ryan Dunn can be one of those guys. He's gonna have a more defined role. He's definitely projected as a starter. But the issues are his offense. He shot 31% from three last season, so no, that doesn't make him a 3 and D guy. That makes him a great D guy. He can definitely get to the rim. He's an amazing in-game dunker, but 31% from three last season, no bueno. He did move up to 38% in Summer League. Once again, Summer League. I still think he has time, and I think Coach Jordan Ott will be patient with him, watching him play, watching with his defensive prowess. So 38% Summer League. He looked like a different player in Summer League. His confidence was through the roof. I have all the faith in the world that this three-point percentage will continue to rise, and he will get hopefully around 40-41%, and that'll keep a defense honest. And that will make him a 3 and D player. I have all the faith in the world. The big issue was his horrible free throw percentage. He was at 47% last year. And for a guy that is really good at getting into the lane and dunking, he is going to have to improve that. 47%, that can keep you out of a starting lineup unless you're, Shaq, unless you're getting 30 points and 15 rebounds a game. And he's not that guy. And we have Dylan Brooks who can shut down most of the league's small forwards. So as good as a defensive player Ryan Dunn is, it's not going to mean anything if he can't at least keep a defense halfway honest with better free throw percentage. If he's at 65%, 70% by the All-Star break, I can live with that, but he should be better at that. We'll find out soon if Dunn continues his improvement. I know he didn't get consistent court time last year. I also feel that Coach Ott is going to take a really strong, hard look and a good patient look with him as he is more of a coach of player development. I still think he's got some X's, O's in his head. We shall see. Royce O'Neal can hit a three. Nigel Hayes-Davis looks like he can do everything. So as much as I think Coach Ott will be patient, as young as Ryan Dunn is, as good as he looks, and as much as he's improved, he doesn't have a ton of time in his own head to improve his game. There are a couple of savvy veterans breathing down his neck. And if Ryan Dunn has to go back to the bench and play spot minutes and keep improving in practice, that might happen as well. So we shall see. We shall see. Also, Rasheer Fleming, talk around camp. The quiet rumors: Rasheer Fleming is ready to go. So I don't know. And he was an amazing three-point shooter in college. So was C.J. Huntley. So as I said, the Suns are loaded in the front court. Ryan Dunn has a lot of people breathing down his neck, so maybe he'll rise to the occasion, and that's kind of what we want. All right, moving on. We have a ton of comments from you. Back to Hammer Don PHX, who gave us the quote of the day that I'm going to have to reread that quote. Hammer Don PHX. I would definitely take Matrix over Alvin Adams. How did we end up doing that? They're tied, but I get you. I hear you. As I said, we might sort that out when we're finished ranking them. We might leave it at that. Really excited about our young group of bigs. Just talked about that. Potential is off the hook. Can't wait to see how Coach Ott utilizes the roster. Cool. D-Rock Trainer 5335. Congrats for your new channel. Thank you. Yep, just barely a month and a half doing Suns Latest. My new favorite Suns YouTube channel. Well, you made my week. Thank you very much. It's very nice. Do you have a Twitter and Instagram? I don't have Twitter. Instagram is at Richard_Rubin, R-U-B-I-N. Not a lot of Suns talk on my Instagram. It's mostly my cat. Okay, at BYB Boxing, you had about 10 comments, so thank you. Amari and Alvin Adams, and then we can get to the next vote. Still haven't put Stoudemire up there, and I agree with you on the fact that Amari should be number 13. Yeah, he's moved up. We're going to get to that when we start ranking him in just a sec. Let's see, what do we got? And also, can we please stop on the fact that Ishbia swung for the fences? The Suns fans are truly hurt. Yeah, I think we were all happy, disappointed, disillusioned, bummed out, hurt, and now I think we're just angry. I think we're over it now. Lastly, the Suns can use Devin Carter. We talked about Devin Carter on a recent Suns Latest. The combo guard that the Kings keep dangling out there. I don't know why no one picks him up. I think there's true value to him. We have to have a combo and give him point guard minutes. An absolute true value. Yeah, I mentioned that recently with Ishbia, and I've reconciled it in my head, and I'm not mad at him anymore. Swing and a miss, but in the words of Wayne Gretzky, quote, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Ishbia meant to make a splash with KD, and KD was available, and he wanted to play for us, and anyone would have tried to make that happen. It was a big mistake letting the Twins go, at minimum letting Mikal Bridges go for him, but the Nets weren't going to budge without him, and no one's ever going to be 100%, but you know what? There's a lot of people that are like, yeah, I probably would have made that trade. You never know. You can't just blow off a Hall of Famer who's still putting up top 5 scoring. You just kind of can't, especially if he wants to play for you. Beal for CP and Goodwin, and Isaiah Todd is really where he screwed up. It was just overkill. Just didn't need him. Could have relegated CP3 to the bench and just told him, it's like, look, you can't start anymore. We want you for the playoffs. Maybe you'll start in the playoffs, but you keep getting injured in the playoffs, and we're going to get to CP3 because he's coming up with the ranking. And at Metallicop, Nigel Hayes-Davis, quote, you can't be successful unless you are present where your feet are. It's about being focused on the present and unconcerned about the past or dwelling on the future. He is someone to watch this season. That's the second person that pointed out the Nigel Hayes-Davis interview. I think it's on the PHNX Suns podcast. I know the podcast. I'm sorry, guys, if I'm getting the name wrong. I watch it all the time. Really good insight, and Nigel Hayes-Davis was on there, and he is different. Worldly guy. As I mentioned, not comparing him to Kobe Bryant as a player, but as far as guys that have spent time overseas, guys that grew up and came up in EuroLeague and playing for China and playing in the Russian leagues, they just have a different perspective. And he's unique because he started in the NBA, went to EuroLeague, MVP, 50 points a game every now and then. Now he's back. So he's a different guy. So he could be a huge surprise for the Suns this year. And also, a really cool quote, present where your feet are. I'm a triathlete, and a lot of what I do, because at my advanced age, you have to recover a lot, but you have to work on your balance a lot. And something that I tell myself when I'm running is to be where your feet are. Your feet and your ankles are hugely important as for any athlete, and they'll tell you this. As you get older, they're instrumental in continuing to be able to work out effectively. And I am always working on my balance, and I am constantly telling myself, be where your feet are. Really good advice from Nigel Hayes Davis. Okay, let's move on to the top 10. It is no longer the 15. It is no longer, well, I wonder who it's going to be. We are now going to the top 10 Phoenix Suns of all time by rank. The 15 started out Dick Van Arsdale, Tom Chambers, Alvin Adams, and Sean Marion are tied at 13. Sorry, BYOB. Jason Kidd at 12. And Connie Hawkins at 11. I can't, with all the other guys coming up, put Connie Hawkins in the top 10. He's right there. So we got to talk about Chris Paul. We've talked about Stoudemire relentlessly. The other guys to talk about for the next spot are Dan Marley. It's Chris Paul, Amari Stoudemire, and Dan Marley. So with Chris Paul, the story of Chris Paul as a Sun, 2020 to 2023, he changed the culture. Big deal. He didn't change the Suns didn't change the game with that team, but Chris Paul changed the culture of the Suns after the Rubio trade, and it took us to a completely different level out of the bubble. As much as I love Coach Monty Williams and his laid-back demeanor and how he related to players, and he was strictly a player development mentor type coach for all levels of player, superstars, veterans, rookies, second-year guys. He could relate to any player because he was a player. And he was just a chill guy, and you couldn't help but love Coach Monty. But he wasn't a strategist. He wasn't McLeod. He wasn't Cotton Fitzsimmons. To a lesser extent, he wasn't even Paul Westphal, who at the very least understood personalities, understood the X's and O's of the games, but he wasn't a scientist in his approach like Coach McLeod. So Westphal is another guy that Monty just didn't have the strategy part. Monty didn't want to kill you. Monty just wanted to do his thing and insert, and he wasn't that great at it. As much as I love Coach Monty Williams, but he proved that he wasn't that great at it right when he went to Detroit, and he didn't have a cerebral point guard like Chris Paul running it for him. Two-time All-Star with the Suns, two-time All-NBA second team with the Suns, one-time All-NBA third team with the Suns. Chris Paul, All-NBA each year he was with the Suns, the short time that he was here, led the NBA in assists in 2022 at 3 billion years old. 34 points on 74% shooting in the Western Conference semis against Denver in 2021 to eliminate the Nuggets in a 4-game sweep and get the Suns to their first Western Conference final since 2010. Booker was astounding. Chris Paul was the guy that made us go. In Game 6 of the next series, people forget about this one. To get to the finals, 41 points, 8 assists to knock out his old team Clippers 4-2 and advance to the NBA Finals, the Suns' first finals appearance in '93. We jump to a 2-0 lead, and Chris Paul and Devin Booker are running over the Bucks. And then we lost 4 in a row and lost the finals. What happened? After the finals, Chris Paul had wrist surgery. And he wouldn't say anything during the playoffs. It happened at some point between the end of the last Clipper game and the start of the first Bucks game, or during the first 2 games against the Bucks, because he looked pretty good. But as always has been the case with Chris Paul, at least in his short tenure with the Suns, broke down when you needed him most. And as good as Chris Paul was, it's not blame, it's just what happened. And I agree with players, especially in the playoffs, not mentioning a horrible injury, because if they can't walk, get out there and play. And I'm a firm believer of that. Deal with it later. Ronnie Lott of the San Francisco Niners had his finger removed because he was in a Super Bowl game. It's just like, no, I'm going to finish playing this game. Then chop off my finger. I'll deal with it for the rest of my life. You know? Can live without one finger. Can't live without my one Super Bowl ring. Without a finger to put it on. Ha, ha, ha. So Chris Paul, in the short time that he was here, changed the team. Changed the culture. And when he left, no more real Suns culture going on. You know, KD and Beal, there's no culture there. They're just, ISO guys. So you could see and feel the impersonal approach to the Suns once Chris Paul left. So, but man, he was good when he was here. I don't think I can put him ahead of Stoudemire. Once again, Stoudemire was here almost 9 years. Accolades were higher. No, we didn't get to the finals with Stoudemire, but we were right there. It was, you don't really compare these two. They did what they did in very different ways. Chris Paul was a revelation. Chris Paul just came out of nowhere for us. We all knew who he was coming in. We didn't know who Stoudemire was, and he shows up and, oh, wow, we have a top 10 player. Oh, wow, we have a top 5 player. I can't put in good conscience, conscience? I always screw that one up. I can't put Chris Paul ahead of Stoudemire. And because of Dan Marley's tenure with the Suns and popularity with the Suns, and another guy who kind of came out of nowhere, I can't put Chris Paul ahead of either of those two. So Chris Paul is going to go down as the 10th greatest Sun of all time on the Rankem. Some people are going to be like, no, he's not a top 10 guy. He wasn't here long enough. That's fair. Who are you going to swap him with? Connie Hawkins, Jason Kidd, Alvin Adams, Sean Marion, Tom Chambers, or Dick Van Arsdale? Right now, Chris Paul is going in at the 10th greatest Sun of all time. And I think that's fair. I think that's exactly where he belongs. Recency bias is hard to get over, but huge impact when he was here. Tune in next for the next Suns latest. We are going to put either Marley or Stoudemire probably at number 9. And then it might actually get easier when it gets down to the top 5. We shall see. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate you signing up and subscribing, and keep letting me know how you feel, how we're doing here at Suns Latest. Something we need to improve, you let me know. I'm Rich Rubin. I appreciate you watching. Take care.